What's up, everybody? This is Anthony from Out There Adventuring. You're probably used to seeing my wife on this channel. Usually I'm kind of the dork that's quietly in the background. We're usually doing off-roading videos and overlanding, but we decided to give you guys a peek into what we're doing. Last year we did a complete frame-off restoration of this 97 Jeep TJ. Everything has been completely updated into it. It is basically a brand new car, but we didn't record any of that. You guys are probably used to seeing our 2021 Gladiator that we take to Moab, do lots of pretty extreme rock crawling with. It's been a very good truck, but we got something new to us. She's a little crusty, but it is a 79 Jeep Cherokee S with 4 doors. This is a 4-door Cherokee, not to be confused with a Wagoneer. This is the all-wheel drive quadra-track version, 3-speed automatic with the AMC 360 engine in it. This was clearly a work truck or some kind of salt truck or farm truck. The body is pretty toasted, but mechanically everything on it works, which is pretty impeccable. So the plan for this is to basically take you guys on a trip with us. We forgot to do it with the TJ, but now we're going to do it with this. So intermixed with all of our normal videos where you guys see us go out on vacations and go to Easter Jeep Safari and go rock crawling and do all that fun stuff, we're going to spritz in videos of getting this monster done. Like I was saying, bodywork is a little rough, interior is a little toasted, but I think this is going to be a good daily driver. Mechanically sound, no leaks, everything works, frame is good. Just, you know, it's going to be some trials and tribulations along the way. So basically, there's not a whole lot of videos on doing a lot of like very specific maintenance on these things because they're so old. Like I said, this is a 79. So we figured what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take you guys along with the process. So now we're just going to kind of point out some of the features of this particular Cherokee to you and see if you guys are interested in picking up your own full-size Jeep. They're very neat. They're very fun. This is the Cherokee before the Cherokee that everybody knows the Cherokee to be. So this is like pretty cool. All right, so let's go take a look at what we got going on with this. So full-size Jeeps. Full-size Jeeps in this configuration come from the military truck. I forget the designation on it. We can probably put it in a little inset somewhere on the screen with like its title. But basically they did Jeep under Kaiser developed the full-size platform as a military truck, and then they decided to market it to the civilian population in the form of 3 models. You had the J Series truck, so that's like your original Gladiators, your J2000s, all those ones. Your Cherokees, which is what this guy is right here, and then your Wagoneers. Wagoneers were almost always 4 doors. There were some 2-door models, but it was more like the luxury trim. Then you had your Cherokee, which was like your sportier trim, marketed towards families and stuff like that. Almost always 2 doors, but for some reason there's some 4-door ones. And then obviously, like I said, the truck. One of the most common engines in it is, in all of these models, the AMC 360 V8. It's a small block, 360 cubic inch engine. This one runs with no noises, no ticks, no weird creaks or groans or cries or anything. And it actually starts up really easy despite it being as old as it is. This is maybe a 1-pump start if it's been sitting for a carbureted engine. But we have plans to update this to possibly an electronic, the dogs are running around, an electronic fuel injection system and replace the carburetor so it reliably starts up all the time. But everything in here works. This one comes equipped with upgrades from the factory in the form of power steering. Power steering was not a required item back in the 70s, so this does come with power steering. Like I was saying before, this is a 3-speed automatic as well. This one does have air conditioning that works. Works. Most of the parts on here are actually GM compatible parts because when these were being built, they were using lots of parts from other manufacturers to complete the builds on these engines. This is a 79 Cherokee. So what happened in 79 is they switched over to the square headlights on the grille and what they call the pig nose grille, which has got this plastic bump right here on it. But what's funny about all these wagons is that they made these from, and all these J-Series trucks and all that stuff, they made these from like the early 60s, I'm gonna say like 63 or 64. all the way to 1991 in some form or another. So almost all the parts from the 91 Grand Wagoneers all the way back to the 60s are cross-compatible. Like, other than buying little brackets or little fidgety little parts that you can use to adapt different things like trim, almost everything is cross-compatible. You can get body panels for these from like places like BJ's Off-Road, and these are actually really, it's going to be some work, but they are very restorable from junkyard parts and brand new manufacturer parts to get these up and running. So, power steering, AMC small block V8, 2-barreled carb, air cleaner for the carburetor. So this is a V8. Distributors in the front, which makes it easy to access. Oil filter is right over there, which is also easy to access from the front without lifting the truck. That is your power steering. This was a dual horn model. The way that this truck works is that the transfer case is on all the time. So this is a full-time 4-wheel drive truck. There's no need to put it into 4-wheel drive. It's 4-wheel drive all the time. Inside the dashboard, there is a switch. So what you would do is put this into neutral, reach into the dashboard, open up the glove compartment, and then you would flip a switch to switch this to emergency mode, which is low range. They just call it emergency mode because they didn't want people doing it, you know, all the time. But basically it's low range, and then you can put it in 4 low. So once again, this is 4-wheel drive all the time. This is essentially the first all-wheel drive car that was kind of on the road in America. It's one of the, well, at least the first common one. There was probably definitely for sure ones before that, but this is like the most common, well-sold all-wheel drive car years before you started seeing Subarus like this and stuff like that. And then this thing cruises. It is a 3-speed automatic. It's not super fast, but because the horsepower on this V8 engine is very low, it's only like 175 horsepower, but it has gobs of torque. So like, for example, the Gladiator that's sitting back there, that is a 3.6 liter V6. That has at least, if not more than double the horsepower that this does. But this has the same low end torque, which means essentially this can tow the same as that truck. So this thing can just cruise up a hill and never lose speed. It just kind of chugs up the hill. And like I said, it's all-wheel drive all the time, and everything on that system is working. There's no clicks, there's no shaking, there's no rough shifts, there's no any problem with any of that working. And so in the snow recently, it's been kind of snowy around here this time of year. This thing has just, we've been testing it before I started ripping it all apart. And it works great. Like I was saying before, visually, this is gonna be a ton of body work and a ton of updating raggedy old components and modernizing things. But mechanically and frame-wise, this truck is solid. Everything works on it, which is surprising. And everything does what it's supposed to do. The frame is good. There's no soft spots, no holes, no patches, it's got a ton of surface rust. Like I was saying before, this is probably like some kind of farm truck or something like that. But everything looks good. There's nothing bent down there. Everything is solid. And like I was saying, you guys are gonna get taken along on some of the journey of this so you can see it as it progresses. Our goal is to first fix and update everything that we have to do with this that will get it to pass PA state inspections. Because basically in PA, where we live, in order for a car to be on the road, you have to pass state safety and smog inspections. Now the smog inspections are based on what year your car is, so like in the safety inspections. So like if you have an older car, you only have to pass the standards for your car from that era, which is pretty nice. But basically like our goal is to get this to pass inspection so it can be a daily. So we have to repair the stuff that we need to repair. We got this from Missouri, so they are a little looser on what they allow to roll on the road. But so our goal is to get it to pass inspections first, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna update and modernize as much as we can. Guys, chill. And then we're gonna repaint it, and we're gonna make it nice and pretty and modern. So it's gonna have like modern stereos, you know, nice stuff in it. But we're not gonna destroy the aesthetic from its period. Like we're not gonna like make it look weird and cover it in like all kinds of goofy modern stuff. It's gonna be as close to a modernized but period looking car as we can, the same way that we did the TJ. Everything on it is new, but also like for the 90s and 2000s, like authentic to it. And that's the goal with this as well. So like it'll be modern but subtle. So like we're gonna add in things like we're not gonna remove like the factory radio, for example, but we're gonna add in like a touch screen hidden in a console, so that way like you can still use CarPlay and stuff like that. So our plan with this is to turn it into a daily driver. Let's go look at the inside. So like I was saying before, this is not a Wagoneer, this is a Cherokee, and it is a Cherokee with 4 doors, which was not very common. Wagoneers were, like I was saying before, the luxury models of these FSJ Jeeps, full-size Jeeps, if you want to parse that out. This is an SJ Cherokee, but so like all that stuff is all kind of commingled together. But if we look at the interior on this, it comes with the optional bucket seats. It has the CB AM/FM radio, so it does have a CB radio in there as well. This has tilt steering, which was an aftermarket upgrade. The original owner of this picked multi-colors for it, because you used to be able to build these with whatever types of interiors you wanted as well. So they picked these maroon seats with tan dash and door cards, maroon steering wheel. This still has the factory leather-wrapped steering wheel on it. Everything on the interior also works, which is interesting. So here's your low range right here. This used to be a cardboard box in here that then would mount this switch right here. And these are all your lines and stuff that go to your transfer case to switch your normal 4-wheel drive on your Quadra-Track to your low range, which is right here. So basically you would shift this into neutral, and then you can shift it into low range, and then it would go from full-time 4-wheel drive to full-time 4-wheel drive low range. And then once again, put it neutral, shift it back into high range. So the transfer case is always on. There's no column on the floor or anything like that for shifting it. It's all the time on, and everything works. Surprisingly, I've tested and everything works. So here's your switch for the window right here. There's your switch. And your switch for your defrost as well. Park brake release and park brake. Here's your switch for your brights. Venting for your AC. Wipers, 2 speeds, no intermittent. And then it's like a 3-speed automatic. So there's your gear shift, cruise control, and tilt feature. All right, so like I was saying, this was optioned out from the factory to have some of these crazy color patterns, because back when the day you would order these, you could pick out tons of customization on your interior. Hi, dogs. On your interior. And the original owner of this went a little wild. We have these maroon and the upgraded corduroy inserts on the seats, all original. Then we have tan dash and tan trim, which they opted for the upgraded inset Navajo style patterns on the doors and stuff like that. All tan interior. And then we also have like maroon steering column and green carpet. So it's pretty interesting. This one does have some additional features on it. Like I was saying, this has the AM/FM radio with the CB hookup. So what you can do is you can switch between a CB radio and your AM/FM radio right here on the dash. The CB would then be mounted in here. And then here's your power switch for that as well. This has optional air conditioning, which works. It does stuff. I mean, I don't know if it's going to get cold during the summer, but we'll find out. This one has the tilt steering column as well. So unlike a lot of them, you can tilt and adjust the steering wheel, which was an add-on feature as well. It also has the original wrapped factory leather wrapping on the steering wheel, which somehow is still in pretty decent shape, which is strange as well. Mostly the only interior features that this thing is missing up front for its convenience group is you could either get a tape deck from the 70, because this is 79, you could get a tape deck in it, which this does not have. So you had to choose between the CB or the tape. Whoever bought this got the CB instead. And then there's an analog clock, like an actual hand clock that goes right here in this spot, which we've already sourced, and we're going to be wiring it and putting that in and making sure that works as well. But like I was saying, the dash is uncracked. The padded dash is good. So this hasn't been sitting in the sun or anything like that. You have your maroon head, like your sun visors, of which the optional one right here for your lady friends with the mirror and the lights for your makeup, which is nice. This has, since it's a Cherokee, this does not have power windows. This has manual crank windows on all 4 doors, which do work. The switch right here, right where my finger is, that's the switch for dropping the rear window from the inside so you can open the tailgate. And then this also has rear defrost as well, which was also rare. So it has an electric tailgate for the window and electric defrost in the tailgate as well. Headliner's in pretty decent shape. A lot of the lights are missing though, so we're gonna have to either source or replace or come up with new for dome lights in here. Seats are all in really great shape. The only damage is to this seat, the driver's seat, because that was the one that was sat in the most. But the passenger seats and all that are good. And everything is good to go on there. These are all original. You can even see on this, it's got the original like insets in them still with the little trims, which are fun. Overall, it's not very fast, but it is very fun to drive. Steering wheel is a little sloppy, so we got to tighten up the steering as well when we get to it. But, oh, this also has cruise control. This has cruise control for $79, which is just fun. But yeah, so this is going to be a lot of work, but we're gonna get her done. Cool. So like I was mentioning before, this is the AMC 360 small block V8 engine that came in this Cherokee. It was a very common engine. They ran this engine all the way up into 91 on the Grand Wagoneer. And like I was saying before, the Grand Wagoneer in the 90s, these Cherokees, all the J trucks, all the way back to the 60s are all cross-compatible with just about all of their parts. So rebuilding these can be costly if you want to get a bunch of brand new parts, but finding parts off of other donor cars is going to be very easy because they're almost all cross-compatible. The Cherokee in particular kind of heralded in the idea of full-time four-wheel drive. So that's why this just says four-wheel drive. This came with the Quadra-Track transfer case, of which this one is in excellent working order. And what that means is that the four-wheel drive on this guy is on all the time. There is no switching in and out of four-wheel drive and two-wheel drive. This just exists in four-wheel drive and runs. Strapped to that transfer case and that 360 engine is the 360's dedicated like kind of transmission. So it's a very heavy-duty transmission for a V8 engine. And then it has Dana 44 axles, just like on your modern Rubicons and stuff like that. Now, these axles are different shapes, and they have different spline counts and stuff like that, so you can't use modern gearing and stuff in them. So, like, if you have pull-out gears from, like, regearing your Jeep Wrangler or Gladiator 44s, like what we have for our Gladiator when we switched over to 513 gears, we have 410s laying around. They will not go in here because all of the teeth counts are different, like for the actual inputs and stuff. So like, you know, it's whatever. But the way that these axles work is that the rear axle is offset to one side instead of dead center like a normal Dana 44 rear axle. And that's because the fuel tank and the spare are back there in the back underneath the truck. So the pumpkin is shifted way over to one side. But like I was saying, this is full-time four-wheel drive. There's a low range like I was showing in the interior, where the switch is hidden in the glove compartment, and the only thing you need to do is switch this from 4 high to 4 low. Turning it into two-wheel drive is just not a thing. It's essentially a giant Subaru. It's all-wheel drive all the time. So it's pretty neat. Leaf sprung, so it's got 4 leaf springs all the way around, no coils or anything like that. Track bar, sway bar were modernized in this generation of this one, so it does have sway bars and all that stuff as well. Like I was saying before, this one has power steering, which is a big deal. Most of them did not. And you can tell, just by looking at the frame on this, it's not too bad for something that's almost 50 years old. This is a 1979, so, you know, for it being the age that it is, everything seems to be on the frame pretty good. We're going to go through and obviously shore up any weak spots. We're going to re-weld anything that needs to be welded, and we're going to rebuild it, because I want it to be strong enough to be able to handle some light off-roading and, you know, kind of do its thing. And like I was saying before, this is a 4-door model, so you get the fold and tumble seat and you get the ability to go in and out of this as well. Back in the back, since this is a full-size wagon, all of these full-size Jeeps were basically on the same frames and about the same length, whether you had a 2-door Cherokee or the J truck or the Wagoneer. They were all basically the same. So what you get in this is you get a huge amount of cargo space. So when you fold and tumble this rear seat forward, you have as much space in the back of this Cherokee as I do in the bed of my now 2020s era brand new Jeep Gladiator. It has a ridiculous amount of storage in here. How you access this from the back is this has a power window that works, surprisingly. You lower the window and then there's a latch on the inside of the tailgate that after you lower the window, you can access the back. And how that works is that if we come around here, there's a switch on the dashboard to lower this window, but there's also a key for the switch right here. So you key in, drop the window, reach in, pull it, drop your tailgate. And the tailgate folds down like a truck, so you can even put lumber and plywood sheets in here, and it's also wide enough to put a full sheet of plywood in here with the tailgate down, which is kind of wild as well. But it's pretty neat. Has the original Cherokee decaling on it, which we're going to get replacements and do all of this up correctly. Frame-wise, everything is good. And then our plan is to make it a daily. So we'll take you guys along the ride. You can hear the rust falling off of it as I close the door, so it's going to be an adventure. There's going to be lots of swearing and probably some bloody knuckles. So stay tuned for that, I guess. I'll catch you guys later.